So Dust Silver found out that we love mechanical keyboards on this channel. They were also devastated to hear that one of Gary's favourite keyboards had a slight accident. So they've sent in a few of their keyboards from their range for us to take a look at today. So in this video, we're going to unbox 3 of their popular keyboards. We're going to take a look around at some of these features, to do some sound tests at the end, and hopefully make an informed decision as to which one of these you may want to buy. Now, for full transparency, Dust Silver did send us in these keyboards for review, but all the opinions on these keyboards are our own. This video is not being vetted, but Dust Silver will be providing us with a discount code that I'll put in the description below, just in case you wish to buy one of these keyboards for yourself. So let's take a start. Now, we've got 2 of their D84s in different colour schemes. Now, the funky thing about Dust Silver is they offer some amazing colour options and different retro styles for their keyboards. We've got a couple of their retro D84s here in like blue and a sort of a wine sort of coloured. We're going to take a quick look at those. Now, these keyboards are hot swappable mechanical keyboards that are wired, Bluetooth and wireless. So let's take a start. We're going to start with the blue. So first things first, we've got a nice protective cover over the keyboard. And we have the keyboard itself, like there. Instruction manual. Very nice looking sort of light blue USB to USB-C cable if you want to run it wired or to charge the battery. A USB-A to USB-C connector if you've got a USB-C like Mac. We've also got a keycap and switch puller and a selection of switches. Now, when you're actually configuring your keyboard, there are quite a number of switches to choose from. It looks like we've got a blue switch in this one. We will take a look in a second, but first let's have a look around the keyboard itself. First things first, it's quite a nice weight with this keyboard, and you see it's got nice rounded edges. Now, one of the things I've heard is you can actually take these edges off and they are changeable. So should you wish to change it later down the line, if you've got a couple of these, you want to swap them around. Feels very solid, very sturdy. Keycaps feel nice. Obviously, you hear that click from a blue keyboard. We've got a little tab at the top, which pops open. Then we have our switch here for wired, Bluetooth and wireless. Wired is in the middle, and you notice we've also got a nice little dongle dock as well here for our 2.4 GHz wireless connector. So it's nice that you're not going to lose it. You can keep it safe in there. There we go. Looking around the keyboard, little strip along the top. Hopefully that's a nice light strip. Little strip here under the Dust Silver and another strip along the bottom. Hopefully they'll light up. We'll try that in a second. If we look to the bottom itself, we've got a nice silver plate here telling us the model number that we've got. We've got 2 stage adjustable feet so that you can adjust the heightness to whatever you like. We've also got a USB-C cable here for your keyboard and a triple channel so we can go straight out the back, and you can do a left or right route out either side for whatever suits your desk setup. And we do have just some basic rubber feet on here if you want to have it flat on your desk. I'll just quickly light it up. So that is nice. So there we go, those strips are lit up. So top of the keyboard and the bottom gives it a nice lighting effect, and it is lit all around the actual keycaps themselves. Now, these are heavy duty PBT keycaps, so you're not going to get any backlighting coming through, the actual shine through the key legends. All the actual backlighting is around the edges of the keys, which does look great in a dark room, but is a bit of a shame, unfortunately, with PBT keycaps, and this is the same with most manufacturers. The trouble is, if you want shine-through keycaps, they're usually ABS, and the ABS keycaps do feel a lot lighter and cheaper, and they don't wear as well as PBT. So it's a trade-off that you've got to decide which is right for you. Personally, I'm totally used to this now, and I just love the feel of heavy-duty PBT keycaps. Another thing I want to mention is the actual construction of this. It's there's no creak, it's very hefty, it feels great. They've also, the keys feel fantastic, they're bottoming out nicely, there's no ping or clatter. So looking at the design brief, we have sound-absorbing cotton, a PCB pad, a silicone pad, and a top-mounting aluminium plate, which gives it a great thonky sort of feel without it feeling cheap or nasty like some of the other brands. Now, it is, as I say, quite weighty. We've obviously got the battery in here as well, and we will hopefully do a battery test shortly. But let's put that one to one side. I'm going to look at the other colour now. We're going to compare them. Put that back on. So again, we've got a nice keyboard cover. Now those keyboard covers are really handy, so if you're not using your keyboard for a while, I always keep them and put them back on, just to stop them from getting dust and dirt in the actual keyboard itself. So again, we've got the same wireless and wired sort of keyboard with all the bits and pieces. So as you can see, pretty much the same sort of keyboard with these two, but this is just a couple of different colour schemes, and they provided us with different switches, so we will take a look at those in a minute. Now again, you can see the backlighting all around the actual keyboard itself. It does look great, and we will put it in a darkened room in a little while, just so you can see what that looks like. Now if you look at the legends on the actual keycaps, you'll see that we've got completely different font styles on these different keyboards. This is a real sort of retro looking, I don't know, 70s sort of keycap. I think it looks fantastic. Now again, there are a number of different designs on Dust Silver's website to hopefully suit your sort of style. Me personally, I've always been a fan of retro keyboards, and that's what's drawn me to these. Now just quickly take off some of the keycaps. So you can see we've got the blues here on this one. So the Gateron blues are just like your standard Cherry MX blues. They feel fantastic, especially if you're typing. Probably not so good for gaming because they're obviously quite clicky. Now the Gateron whites are a linear switch, very similar to a Cherry MX red. Got that same sort of 2mm travel, but it's got a little lighter actuation force. So this is perfect for fast sort of gaming. So if you're strapping around, very much like a silver switch, but with a little bit longer travel. Me personally, I've always gone for like a red switch for typing and gaming. So I think it's, for me personally, a great compromise for typing, and I do love reds for gaming. So now we've looked at both of those, I'm going to quickly look at the D66, and then we're going to look at some of the functionality and lighting that all three of these have got in common. A bit of card at the top, followed by, again, the nice little cover plate. Now the K or D66 is a more compact keyboard. You'll notice that we've got no function keys along the top. We've only got one row along the side of the enter key for your page up, page down and delete. But we do also have a little wheel, which we'll look at in a second. But you miss out, like with the D84s, you obviously got those function keys and you've got an extra row of command keys. But personally, I think if you're gaming, something like this being more compact would be probably a better option. Right, again, we've got our manual, and we've got another little box of accessories. So in here, again, we've got a cable for when you want to charge it, or if you do want to run it wired. Got a nice little card here where you can scan to take you through to the website, I'm assuming, just to give you a bit of peace of mind if you need any sort of support with your product. Switch puller and keycap puller. Nice little key ring, nice little touch there. A little miniature keyboard of this one that you've got as a little key ring. We've got some red switches. And then we've got our 2.4 GHz dongle and a USB-C to USB-A converter. Now, because this one is compact, we don't have the little pouch to keep the 2.4 GHz dongle into the actual keyboard, so it is actually separate. But if we look around, as you can see, just the keycaps and the knob on the deck. If we lift it up, you can see that we've got the USB-C on the back of this one because it is more compact, and then the switch on the other side, so you can see for the middle for wired, left for Bluetooth, and right for your 2.4 GHz dongle. As we move to the bottom, again, we've got our silver plates and just a single stage adjustable foot, so you can either have it flat or just the one height angle. It's a bit of a shame, I do prefer the sort of the two-step, and nothing but dust silver on the bottom and nothing on the sides. So again, let's just quickly turn this on and have a look at the lighting. So as you can see, we've got some nice backlighting here behind the keycaps because again, they are PBT. We've got a nice light strip between the cursors and the function key. And there's also a nice amount of light around the actual little knob on the corner as well. So it does look fantastic. And I love the actual keycaps on this one. This is, I believe, the rainbow color. It also comes in a sort of a pink as well, if you prefer. I know one of my friends has her eyes on this one, so she'll probably get a pinch it off me when we finish with the review. And like before, I'm going to take a couple of these keycaps off. We're going to take a look underneath, see what switch they've given us. So as suspected, we've got red switches. My favorite switch type. Right, there we go. That's the keyboards. We're going to now start taking a look at some of the functionality. So we've just set up the D66. I'm using the 2.4 GHz dongle, as you can see here. It's plugged in straight into my Surface Pro 8. I've installed the software, so we can have a quick look at that in a second. But first, we're going to now, I've just changed the colour of the lighting. I just want to quickly talk through the actual lighting itself. One thing I didn't notice earlier, with the D66, you've got this beautiful dust silver logo that lights up here, as well as the strip and around the actual button. Obviously the D84s that we were looking at had the light bars at the bottom and the top. This one being a more miniature keyboard, it's a bit more muted. I think it looks really nice. Another thing, if you press the caps lock, you'll notice the actual light bar goes green, so you know caps lock is on. And if your battery starts running low, this actual ring indicator around the volume wheel will actually light up a different color. Everything's listed in the manual. Now, by default, the volume wheel will just automatically do your volume control up or down as you roll the wheel. And if you just tap the actual button itself, it mutes your actual volume on your actual system. So very handy. So there we go. It is quite sensitive, so it's quite easy to knock it on and off if you're not used to it. But it does feel really good. And I love the actual lighting around the actual wheel. So just turning the studio lights off for a second so that you can see the actual lighting. As I mentioned, it's coming around the keys itself. So if I just bring up the actual dust silver software and we go to the lighting tab, there's a lot of options for the lighting for these keyboards. Now you can do a lot of it with the actual hotkeys. You've got a function key here, like we can change the brightness up and down or even off with a function key and the up and down arrows. You can change the speed duration with the left and right arrows. But there's also a lot of options. I just want to quickly show you how many options there are within the software. So by default, it's set to always on, and it was white. I've just changed it to a bit of a pink to match our lighting in the background. But we can turn on things like dynamic breathing. And you can see now the keyboard's going to breathe. It's quite fast by default, but you can adjust the speed and the brightness through the software or through the hotkeys. Spectrum cycling. So I'll go through all the different color range. So I'll look at wave. I'm not going to go through all these, I think we'll be here all day, but there is a lot of different options on the keyboard. So as you type, you get a little wave. That looks really nice. Do one more. Let's try flowers blooming. I don't know what that's going to be. And there we go. So there is a lot of choice with the speed and the brightness, and you can change the actual colors as well within here, as well as the amount of options you've got is actually quite staggering. There's quite a lot in there. You've also got a couple of profiles that will synchronize with music, so it'll actually change the colors in line with your music. Let's have a quick look at stars. So really quite impressive. So if you are in a low light environment like I am here, I think this looks absolutely fantastic. I'm going to put my keycaps back on here. Now I've shown you the actual red switches, but I want to just quickly mention that these are hot swappable switches. So if later on down the line, you've decided that you don't want reds anymore, you want to use this purely for typing, you want to put blues in or a totally different switch, you can pop all these switches out and very cheaply buy another pack of switches and change them over. So before we do a quick typing test, I want to just bring the other two keyboards in so we can look at the lighting on all of these keyboards. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, these have the light strips, and this looks, especially in a low light environment, this looks absolutely fantastic. It does look really good, and I say it shines up really nicely around the keys on both the sort of the wine version and the blue version. It looks really nice on your desk. And again, these all have the same software and they all have the same lighting effects as well. So you do have an amazing amount of customization between these keyboards. So now then I want to just quickly do a bit of a typing test so you can just see how good these keyboards sound with all the different layers of dampening that they've put into these keyboards. This is a typing test of the D66 wireless keyboard with the Gateron red switch. Now this is the D84 with the Gateron white switch. And lastly, the D84 with the Gateron blue switch. So there we go, there's just a few of the range of the Dust Silver wireless mechanical keyboards. For the price, this is a great, well-built mechanical keyboard that's Bluetooth, wireless, wired, hot swappable keycaps and switches, and an amazing range of actual lighting and functionality on these boards themselves. Now, considering how good these are for out-of-the-box keyboards, they really are putting a lot of the other manufacturers to shame. Looking at Razer as a prime example, the price of Razer keyboards, these are an absolute ton better and a lot less. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Dust Silver have given us a discount code, and I will put that in the comment section down below. And as always, if you have any questions about these keyboards or anything else, pop it down below and I will get back to you. And lastly, thanks for watching.